Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, leaving a like, leaving a comment, leaving another comment, or subscribing. All of these things help out the channel immensely. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Of course, new day, new nonsense, so there's a lot of stuff happening in the cryptocurrency space. For those of you not looking at the screen, and apparently it's a lot of you, it says Ethereum's price dives by 8%. Oh, also, just in case you haven't gotten the theme of the news in the last couple of weeks, the news is going to be... and the actual term is nonsensical because none of it actually makes any sense. Ethereum's price has dived by 8%. It says why ETH might soon be testing 1,000 US dollars. So, apparently, there was a hack on FTX. And I'm saying another hack because it appears that there was already another hack last week, which we are also going to get into. Apparently, the person who hacked this hack, sure, why not, began to sell off the Ether that they got from FTX. It says the world's second largest cryptocurrency is under strong selling pressure on Sunday evening. As of press time, Ethereum is trading down by 8%. On Sunday, the FTX hacker reportedly sold over 30,000 ETH and began to convert a large part of the holdings into Bitcoin. Now, when I say nonsensical, it means that the situation does have nonsense. It makes no sense. None of this is actually adding up to anything. Why, you might ask? And I make sure that I do this on purpose because I want everyone to know that I can show you the information and it's not me simply saying, Bitcoin should be at $9 million. Like, we're not going through that situation right now. For those of you not looking at the screen, this is a chart of Ethereum supply, how many Ether there are in the world currently floating around. Since we had the merge, Ethereum supply has basically gone completely unmoved. It's actually gone down a little bit if you look at the numbers right here, and this is why Ether is currently deflationary. There are 120 million Ether that have been made that are currently circulating around on the planet. There were 30,000 Ether that were hacked. 30,000 of 120 million is 0.25%. That is 1/4 of 1% of all the Ethereum that there actually are. You mean to tell me that someone sold off a portion of their 30,000 ETH that they hacked and turned it into Bitcoin, and that's enough selling pressure to drop Ethereum's price by almost 1/10, nearly 10%? No, that's absolute nonsense, but that's where we currently are in the market. People, I think, are just finding out what numbers are and how math works. So I think when people hear negative news about anything, they begin to sell off. Ethereum was not hacked. The network is still going strong. We still have the merge. We still have proof of stake. And it's still the most used blockchain on the planet. Someone has possession of 0.25%, 1%, 1/4 of 1% of all the Ether out there, and they sold off a portion of them. And wouldn't you know it, prices have begun to collapse. In really weird news, that was basically all the price news. There was nothing floating around actually talking about prices. I'm pretty sure you know what the main focus was and has been for a long amount of time at this point. For some reason, everyone's also talking about Bitcoin's price next year. I think as we get to the end of this year, it's going to be a major topic. 2023, for those of you who didn't know, is the year before 2024. And that's the magical, fantastical time that we've been hearing since 2019 that Bitcoin was going to go to $250,000, to $500,000, $1 million Bitcoin. So now as we get closer to the time frame of all of those magical predictions, everyone's now coming out with their own price predictions. We heard this about 10 days ago. The first person to say it was, oh gosh, I don't know all these people's names. Old guy who likes Bitcoin. He loves Bitcoin. He talks about it all the time. He was saying and has been saying for the last couple of years that he thinks, and even more so now, he says that by next summer, Bitcoin is going to be at $250,000, and this is now being echoed by other larger people in the cryptocurrency space who all believe that we are on the cusp of not only Bitcoin moving back up and recovering, but getting to a brand new all-time high by like January, February. I would love to be as optimistic as these people, but I think in light of the last 2 weeks and people not understanding logic based on anything, this is where we currently are. Also, logically, here we go. Here's some good logic time. Slinking its way into the news. S&P 500 futures have fallen. Yeah, it's another earnings period that's happening for a number of companies. People are trying to figure out if everything that the Federal Reserve has been doing has actually worked. Surprise. Yeah, we're now on the cusp of, I think it even says it right here. This is also something different. Hong Kong stocks and stocks around Asia are currently falling once again on fears of the Coco Roro 19 apparently peeking its head out from whence it came. And this is scaring investors the same as it did before. But it's also winter time. So all I can say is take care of yourself and do what you need to do to make sure that you don't get the Coco Roro, because you would probably not be too happy. On top of that, tying into everything, stock markets in Asia are falling because of Coco. The S&P 500 and many other indexes are currently down right now because it is probably not going to be the greatest earnings seasons for a number of different companies based on the fact that a lot of people are broke. That's not a joke. I watch documentaries and videos and stuff like that all the time, and it's really difficult right now for a lot of people. People would rather spend that money on bread and eggs and food for their kids as opposed to being like, oh, let me go down to the local shop to buy something nice for myself. So we've been seeing that over the course of this year, and it probably will be extending into next year if inflation has not been gotten under control, because it's still rising in a number of different countries, except for America, where it fell by 0.3% and everyone was celebrating. This week, the Fed is having what they call their minutes, the Federal Reserve minutes. It is happening on Wednesday. Basically, they are going to have another discussion as to if their policies have been working. And if we find out that they have not been working, we are going to be hearing from them again as to if they're going to be raising interest rates at the same level as before. I think this is, so the minutes are this Wednesday, and I think the next rise is expected sometime in December. I think that's what I was reading around before. So this is why you see markets a little bit shaky. So in a perfect world, I like to believe that crypto is also falling because of our 1.5 year long correlation that we've had to the stock market. It seems believable. If people sold off their Ether because someone had 1/4% of all the Ethereum out there and transferred it and exchanged it into Bitcoin, that's not good money making policies. That doesn't make a lot of sense as far as your portfolio. But yeah, that's all the price news that we have right now. Stocks around the world are crumbling. Everyone's waiting to see what the Federal Reserve is going to say. If they're going to continue raising it by 0.75%, the cryptocurrency market is currently in red. It could be redder, like we could be down. Just woke up. The prices could be down by 15-20%. Many coins are down by anywhere from 4 to 8%. So, it logically could be a lot worse that's all the price news, at least for what we have right now. Get ready for some ridiculous news. And yeah, let's move on. In the most popular news story of the day, crypto exchange FTX has filed for bankruptcy within the United States, and CEO Sam Bankman-Fried has stepped down. He didn't step down. I think he was like shoved off following a liquidation issue at the cryptocurrency group that sparked action from regulators around the world. I still think this was all planned because it fits too well into this very weird narrative. If you didn't see the thing that I posted on Twitter like a day or two ago, maybe even yesterday, there are a lot of people within crypto who are now saying that banks need to take over the cryptocurrency space. Like, this is all, we've had a lot of planned manipulated events before in crypto, but this one really takes the cake because there are far too many people in crypto, like crypto leaders, if you will, who are screaming for regulations, and other people who are saying that this would have never happened if we had banks in the space. It's like, I get it, guys. You're all corrupt. You don't have to keep saying it. According to the records filed with the Delaware Bankruptcy Court, the exchange owes $3.1 billion to its top 50 creditors. Can anyone tell me why this isn't news? Anyone? All right. According to the records, the FTX exchange, holds $100 million in each of the top 10 creditors alone, totaling around $1.45 billion. And it shared some ranges from $21 million to $203 million with others. The identity of the other creditors is unclear, and some as are their whereabouts. Sure, why not? Based on the filings, the top 50 list is based on the debtors' currently available creditor information, which includes customer information that was previously visible but is no longer available. The debtors' inquiry into the account list is ongoing, including payments that have been made but may not have been recorded. Okay, sure, we get it. We don't know who they are. Cool. You don't need 2 paragraphs for that. Jeez Louise. So the news is, as to why this is not news, do you guys remember last week? Remember you were walking around doing stuff and like stuff was going on, like you were living your lives. We heard this news. The news is that they had 100 creditors and that they were in debt for between $6 to $8 billion. So we heard that they were already in debt, but for some reason, people just cut that number in half. If you have 100 creditors, or you are in debt to 100 people, or whatever, why not? Sure. And you owe them $6 billion, one can logically assume that 50 of them would equal $3 billion, as it's half the number, because that's usually how math works. This was the most popular news story of the day. I like that we've gotten to this point. People are now reaching for straws, digging for straws, plucking straws out of a hat. I don't know what they're doing. It's gotten to the point where it seems like the news is getting rather desperate. For FTX news, everyone seems to be like, bottom of the barrel at this point. I think we know a huge portion of what happened, at least from our perspective. But now it looks like everyone's kind of rehashing the news because I told you, everyone's obsessed with this news. And especially a lot of content makers, they're trying to make it seem, they're overblowing it to this like proportion of like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. For those of you who did get a chance, a couple of days ago, I was asking you, I said, if you had a chance on the Friday or the weekend to watch a documentary as to how severe and intense Lehman Brothers actually was, what the 2008-2009 crisis was, what happened with Enron, you would know that this is nothing of the sort. This is maybe 10% of what happened. The cryptocurrency space is not that big. And while this was detrimental and, terrible, this is not an Enron. An Enron or a Lehman Brothers would be Tether collapsing, Bitcoin stopping is no longer working, or finding out that Binance is also fake. and collapsing. These are the three largest things in crypto. It's Bitcoin, Tether, and Binance. If those fell apart, we would be in a 2008, 2009 crisis where everything would have to drop by 99% in value. We'd be talking about a $400 Bitcoin. Once again, I can see the tide is shifting in that the news is beginning to change. You're going to start seeing it over the next couple of days a little bit more. A lot of the news out there is, more stuff about Ripple and more stuff about Cardano is slowly beginning to pop up. It's not the most popular news, but we are definitely seeing a difference. Once again, this was the most popular news story of the day, that they owe $3 billion. It's not really news because we heard a couple days ago that they are in debt around $6 to $8 billion. So that's how numbers work. That's the FTX owes $3 billion to 50 creditors news. Yeah. Let's move on. I've noticed a shift in change over the last 2 weeks. Changpeng Zhao, about a month and a half ago, was seen as almost like a villain or like an anti-hero in the cryptocurrency space. I remember earlier this year and even last year discussing things that Binance was doing, the acquisitions that they had going on, what the company was moving forward with. And my comment section was littered with people talking about how Changpeng Zhao is a criminal. He's a terrible person. You got to watch out for him. Why is Binance doing this? And people even writing stuff on Twitter, like sending me links talking about how bad he is. For some reason, the last 2 weeks, everyone is holding him up on nearly the same pedestal that they hold up Elon Musk on, which is far too high. Changpeng Zhao basically announced. So remember when we heard that FTX, like something was wrong with FTX. And then we heard that Binance was selling off their portion of FTX tokens. This was all the news that we were getting from Twitter and cryptocurrency websites. The news being that they announced that they had zero exposure to FTX or to FTT or whatever the case might have been. And the speculation was that they were getting rid of their coins to prop up their token, or this was a hostile takeover or whatever the case might have been. And then they said that they were going to try and buy FTX. And then a couple of hours later, they said that they weren't going to do it. And then the price of FTT token began to fall even more. And people began to speculate, myself included, because all of this is way too weird, that Changpeng Zhao might have been behind the entire thing. So we had news maybe sometime yesterday evening, not really sure. Changpeng Zhao announced that he still is holding on to a portion of the FTT tokens that they had from FTX. And people thought this was one of the greatest things in the entire world. And people were talking about how he's a hero and stop trying to FUD him and you so and so and so and blah, blah, blah. I don't know how the narrative shifted so quickly, how everyone holds. And once again, I was neither here nor there with Changpeng Zhao. I went over the news. It was what it was. I told you that Binance was gigantic. They were getting extremely large and they kept on buying more and more companies. I don't think that there are many. I do not think that there are many actual good guys in the space who actually want good things to happen. I think a lot of this comes down to greed. I think greed can consume anyone. I think no one is withheld from the power of wanting to become a millionaire, a 10 millionaire, a 100 millionaire, and then a billionaire. I think it's something it's a strong magnet. But a lot of people in the cryptocurrency space try to make themselves seem like angels until everything collapses around them. And then you start hearing reports of people who worked with them. And it usually is not anything good. So one of the other popular news stories is that Binance still has a portion of their FTT tokens. And a lot, you can even hear it in the people who are writing it. There's an exclamation point at the end of this sentence right here. Very fascinating how 2 weeks changes the perception of a person and how they are. You can even see on Changpeng Cao's when he tweets, he gets tens of thousands of more interactions now by people. And the comment section is like, dude, I can't believe that we have a guy like you in the space. You're so awesome. And it's like, okay. All fascinating. That's the Binance still has FTT tokens. I mean, I'm so relieved. This is the kind of news I was waiting for. That sarcasm, you probably can't hear that in my voice because I'm maybe monotone. I don't know how I talk. All right. Let's move on. Also in very popular news, South Korean authorities have reportedly seized over $100 million from Shen Hyun-seong, the co-founder of Terra. According to a new report by YTN Korea, the court has frozen the funds of Hyun-seong at the request of prosecutors. Hyun-seong is accused of selling pre-issued Luna tokens to unaware customers before the firm's collapse and immediately realizing the profits. Hyun-seong is also the general manager of payment platform and fintech firm Chai Corporation. I assume this looks like a Pokeball. That's kind of weird. Like it looks like an actual Pokeball. I assume that this was very popular news because we haven't had Terra Luna collapse news in about 4 or 5 days. I assume the space was just itching for something really negative to pop into the scene about this coin. There's still, as far as I am aware, no actual news as to the whereabouts of, I think his name is Do Kwon, the guy who created, I don't think people are ever going to find him. I just assume he's gone at this point. He's in a country where he is not going to be extradited, and that's just how things are going to be. He won't, I feel like he's going to pop up in like a year or two to announce that he has a new documentary coming out. It's going to be it's going to be something weird. It's not going to be anything normal. It's not going to be like, guys, I'm so sorry for everything that happened. You need to understand. And he gives us a full rundown. It's going to be him being like, I got a documentary on Netflix coming out tomorrow. It's going to be something self-promoty. I can kind of feel it. At the same time, a lot of other people who were involved with, working with, or made the creation of Terra Luna are now being bought in by South Korean authorities for questioning what have you. And I guess the news of their money being seized is news for the masses. I'm not sure why this ends up being popular. It's kind of like, and I'll say it in this way. The $100 million that was seized from him was probably actually his own money. You forget that these people are billionaires, and usually they do still have a portion of their money in fiat. It might have been in a bank account or bank accounts that the South Korean authorities were actually able to seize. No one in the public or who was affected by the collapse of Terra Luna is going to ever be seeing a portion of that $100 million. So I think a large portion of this news ends up being popular because it's like, yeah, he finally got in trouble, but I'd rather, the person responsible for this got in trouble and the people who are affected by this collapse are going to be receiving their money back, which isn't anywhere in this news. It's just more of his money was seized and it was frozen and he's now, I assume, in custody or in trouble. It's kind of like every single time. And this is what, first of all, I never cared for the SEC, but as time went on and I realized just exactly what was going on, it made me really not care for them at all. You notice how a lot of times, if the SEC or when the SEC got any cryptocurrency company in trouble, they were like, hey, we've issued a $150 million lawsuit against coin. You throw a coin in there, you see it. And then at the end of it, when there was a settlement that was done, the money was then given to the SEC as a penalty for them selling an unregistered security. But the problem is, the SEC got them in trouble because they said that they were selling an unregistered security to people within the United States, or these people had access to this thing. And this was detrimental to the monetary, financial, whatever of people within the states. But when the SEC won a lawsuit or ended up getting $150 million from a company, that money was never given to the people who were affected. Ever. That money simply went into the pockets of the SEC. So I would care about them a lot more, or give them a little bit more credit, if they really believe that something fraudulent had happened against people who were using this coin. They started investigations as to who had lost the most amount of money because it was a pyramid or simply had completely fallen apart. The SEC had won their part of the lawsuit and simply said, okay, we have a list of 9,000 names, and we are now going to be transferring all of you to your bank accounts because we're all in America, $10,000, $15,000 each as compensation for your loss. But that doesn't happen. Ever. That's why the SEC is completely nonsensical. It's just another way to get people in trouble and to say that they're actually doing regulations when they're not. It's just another way to squeeze money out of a system that they should not have control over, or that they should just simply actually give regulations for. So one of the most popular news stories, and there was also news like this about maybe 2 weeks ago as well. It was something a lot smaller. It was some woman who used to work for Luna as well. I think she was brought in for questioning, and I think they also froze like $9 million in her bank. It was something weird and odd, similar to this story. But I assume because the number is 100 million, we're supposed to be like, yeah, that's a huge amount of money. They got her. It's just, you know, it kind of is what it is. So that's the Terra Luna person, money frozen news. Sure, why not? Let's move on. Oh, here's a good one. For those of you not looking at the screen, remember last week when we were talking about that FTX had been hacked? So, it turns, that's why I said the second hack. We were talking about earlier, the people who had the 30,000 Ether and 0.25% of Ethereum got it. The other hack that happened before, apparently, not even allegedly, because they came out and said so, were Bahamas regulators who apparently told Sam Bankman-Fried to try and hack into the system so that they could freeze the money. Right. Okay. Yeah. I listen. I told you it was going to get weird. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Much of the information regarding the shocking events around FTX turned out to be quite different than expected. The cryptocurrency industry saw the spectacular collapse of one of the giants earlier this month, which ultimately resulted in FTX filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Shortly after, there were suspicious movements from one of the accounts. Many related it to a hack or even an inside job. I mean, listen, you kind of assume anything at that point when the huge amounts of money are flowing around. However, the Securities Commission of the Bahamas took to Twitter to shed some more light on the events, informing that it was actually the watchdog that was siphoning the funds themselves. Right. The statement reads that the commission, in the exercise of its powers as regulator acting under the authority of an order made by the Supreme Court of the Bahamas, took the action of directing the transfer of all the digital assets of FTX Digital Markets Limited to a digital wallet controlled by the Commission for Safeguarding. So the news that we got that there was a hack last week on FTX apparently was not a hack at all. Or rather, you could see it as a hack, but it was done by the regulators of the Securities Commission of the Bahamas, who apparently told Sam Bankman-Fried and or anyone else involved to basically go into the system and take all the coins out or all the money out and give it to the Bahamas regulator. Why they would choose that method, I'm not really sure. I assume it would be something as simple as saying, hey, actually lock up the website so no one can use it and, give us control over the computer systems. I find it a little bit weird that someone was told to essentially break into the system and transfer all that money to the Securities Commission in the Bahamas. They might consider themselves more trustworthy, but something's not adding up. All of this is way too odd. This is one of the weirdest news stories that we've ever actually had within the cryptocurrency space. So, as it stands right now, the regulators in the Bahamas have $500 million worth of the funds that were on FTX. I'm hoping that this is not another Mt. Gox situation where people don't get their money back for years because the people in charge are just too incompetent. And I say that in the nicest way possible because the people from the Mt. Gox thing in 2012, 13, 14, they still do not have their money back. It is not that difficult to check someone's ID next to their account number and say, cool, got it, here's your money. This should not take more than 3 months. Actively. These people should have their money back in no more than 3 months. We all know that it's going to take a long time because governments are terrible and slow everywhere. Everywhere. It's not just your country. I promise you. They're all really slow and there's tons of paperwork. So I guess we can find a bit of solace in the fact that the first hack did not happen. It was a government taking control over the assets, which is absolutely insane that they thought that they were the authority to be able to do so. But let's be clear. If this had taken another 24 hours, the U.S. would have done the exact same thing. There's no question about it because the U.S., so cool. There apparently was only one hack. I guess we can, silver lining, you gotta look for it somewhere. And the Bahamas regulators have control over it. So it's something, it's kind of a win. We don't get that many in the space. So, it's something. Right. That's the Bahamas SEC actually took the money last week. Here's a tweet for it right here. What a time to be alive. It just, all right. Yeah, move on. Also in, oh boy, this was also popular news. I'm not going to even go through this one. So there's a man by the name of Bill Ackman. That is Bill, and then Ackman. You can see the first paragraph right here. Former crypto skeptic Bill Ackman, the founder and CEO of hedge fund management firm Pershing Square Capital Management. That sounds pretentious. Ahora thinks that crypto has the potential to greatly benefit society and grow the global economy. I wonder what's changed in the last couple of weeks that yet another, every single billionaire who was in the cryptocurrency space at one point hated the cryptocurrency space. We've been hearing this since 2017. It's terrible. It's awful. It's only made for criminals. The amount of newly seasoned billionaires who have been jumping out from the trees in the last 5 days to talk about how terrible crypto is has been monstrous. However, at the same exact time, there's always this sliver of people who say that crypto is the worst thing to ever happen. No one should be getting into crypto, not even your worst enemy. You are going to lose tons of money. At some point, they all announce crypto is going to be the greatest benefit to society. Those are very specific words. I guess we can all assume, in complete logic, this man probably has been accumulating Bitcoin over the last couple of years. He probably, and I'm going to say allegedly because I don't know, but we can assume so, he probably used his influence to try and get other people out of the market to make sure that prices fell so that he could get in at a better price. If it had been one billionaire, I would have been like, wow, welcome to the crypto side. If it had been 5, I would have said, pretty good numbers. But when you have about 16 different billionaires from around the world constantly all talking now about how crypto is the greatest thing in the entire world, when I say that the events of the last 2 weeks were planned, can you imagine you're trying or thinking of getting into a market? Let's say it's sneakers. You find out for some reason that if you That there's a sneaker company that if you run in their sneakers too fast, the shoes combust. You're like, whoa, that sounds crazy. The industry begins to collapse. Everyone was building their shoes with this one company. Stocks of all these companies completely fall. People have no idea what they're going to do. And you still go, you know what? I'm going to get into sneakers. These people know something either that we do or that we don't. I think they've been following the space for so long that they know exactly where this is going. They know where prices are going. They know exactly how huge this is going to be. I would have preferred they said nothing ever about crypto and got into the space, or simply announced before that they were hesitant of getting into the space. When you keep telling millions and billions of people that crypto is disgusting and horrible and one of the worst things ever, it has no future, no one should be using it, and you are influencing millions and hundreds of millions of people to not get into this market that you are secretly profiting from, you are probably more than likely a terrible person. This keeps happening over and over. This was also a very popular news story. Why? Because for some reason, people in the cryptocurrency space glorify billionaires. They absolutely love them. These people don't like us. They don't want us in the system. They don't want us in crypto. If they have any inkling that Bitcoin could go to $1 million in the future, they want Bitcoin for them and their friends. We are not supposed to have it. Don't know how much clearer I can make that. So that's the billionaire investor. Bill Ackman says crypto has potential to greatly benefit society. What a difference 2 weeks makes. How crazy, right? That's the rich guy talking on a pedestal news. And yeah, let's move on. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Martin Steuer, Bodie McBoatface, Sam Ratter, Dotha Diddy, Manny Cryptos, Crypto Gambino, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Jamie Saad. And let's move on. Empire Queen, Roman Geba, Bitcoin Ben Arachno, Dave, The Dealer's Den, Captain Something, and the Z-Wade Lay, Mo Barazi, VB Nerd 21, Lauren De Silva, Quoted Biddy, Troy Allgood, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Paternoster, Navarro Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Animal Reader, Bibliophobia, Adam Graysick, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Cole D3D, Setsuna, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Yes to Crypto, Anytime Fitness, Monks, Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger Ramachonisa, and On Crypto with Lionel. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to all the new Patreon members. Thank you to everyone who has purchased a ledger. Thank you to everyone who is a clicker of affiliate links. Thank you to everyone who has left a like, a comment, or has subscribed. At the Memento, Bitcoin is currently at $16,034. It is down by 3.6%. Ethereum is down by 7%. Off of the dumbest news that we have gotten about Ethereum in a very long time. 0.25% of the circulating supply was sold. If it had been 16% of all the ether out there, I would say panic. If it had been 25%, 1 in 4 ether had been hacked, I would say everyone run for the hills. It's about to get real. Less than 1%. And people panic for everything. Everything is currently in the red. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 coins that are bucking the trend. XRP is down by 8. Dogecoin is down by, if you round up, it is down by 10%. Anything else like dramatically down and or up? Algorand's down by 12. And I'll throw this out there again to everyone out there who was like, dude, I hope prices fall by a bit because I got to buy more Cardano. Oh my gosh, I hope ApeCoin goes down by a bit because I would love to buy some more. Here we are. This is your moment. This is when you get to accumulate all the coins you were trying to buy before. Because I'm even seeing a lot of stuff that I was thinking about buying that's, I mean, The prices don't even look real at this point. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I hope you all had a great weekend. Hope you all have a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, commenting, and or supporting. I appreciate it very, very much. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.